guys, welcome to Camp Keeper. This is our final Camp Keeper of the summer, and we're really excited you guys are joining in with us today. My name is Tim, and I'm joined here with a bunch of our other keepers and vets today. This is Courtney, our vet tech, Shelby, one of our other keepers, and Kate, one of our other keepers as well. And today I'm really excited to be talking to you guys about the training we do here at the zoo, and training in general. For a lot of zookeepers, myself included, training ends up being one of our favorite parts of the job. It ends up being one of the most rewarding parts of our job because it's a point in time where we get to form really individual relationships with our animals. So every animal that we train has a primary trainer. So today we're going to be hanging out with Inka, our jaguar, and her primary trainer here is Kate. So Kate and Inka have a very special bond where they know what to expect from each other. They have a lot of respect for each other. And they've grown that over time just through a lot of individual sessions of, working with each other and learning each other. And that's something that comes out of training a lot. And it's really fun for us. And something that might be kind of a misconception about training is that really any animal can be trained, no matter what the behavior. There's more complicated behaviors that some animals can do that others might not be able to do, but any animal can be trained, from snakes to bees people have trained, and even ants people have trained to do different things. You just have to know what to do and how to do it. So I want to talk about kind of the way that we approach our training here at the zoo. So all of our training, or at least the vast majority of our training, is what's called husbandry training, which means that the behaviors that we train and the things that we work with in our animals are specifically focused to allow our animals to partake in their own health care and their own lifestyle to reduce stress in different kinds of ways. So today, one of the things you're going to be seeing is that we're actually going to be trying to draw blood from our jaguar, Inka. We'll be actually getting a needle into her tail to try and draw blood so we can study it and see kind of her health levels and different things like that. That's the kind of stuff that we do here. And we've worked hard. Kate has worked very hard with Inka to let her allow us to do that without it being stressful. Nobody likes being poked with a needle, especially an animal who doesn't actually know why that's happening to them. So Kate worked a long time, and now Inka really doesn't mind that behavior anymore. So that's kind of the things that we like to focus a lot on with our animals here. Now, a quick rundown of the things that I want you to be paying attention to, and that I'm going to be talking about a little bit while they're doing their training session, is kind of the basic 3 things that are involved in this kind of training, operant conditioning training. So what we like to do is operant conditioning training focused on positive reinforcement, meaning that we are trying to increase a behavior, have an animal do a behavior, and when they do it, they like to do it because they receive some form of reward. So the things that you want to look out for is, first, the cue. The cue is whatever we use to ask the animal to do that specific behavior. So today you're going to be hearing Kate say things like up, target, tail, touch, things like that. Those are the cues that let Inka know what she is to be expecting and what she's expected to do in that situation. So that's the cue. The bridge is what we have taught the animals to hear to let them know that what they did was right. So a lot of times that might be a clicker, if you've ever heard of that, or a whistle. And in this session, because we can't use our whistles because our cats can be actually susceptible to COVID-19, Kate will be using verbal cues like good, which you might have heard or used with maybe your pets at home, like a dog or a cat. She says good when Inka actually does what she asked her to do. And then Inka knows that when she hears good, she will be receiving a reward for what she did. The last thing is going to be the reward, which is the thing that they receive that makes them want to actually do that behavior over and over and makes it a really good and positive experience for them. So those are the 3 things: the cue, the bridge, and the reward. Those are the 3 things that I want you to be paying attention to during this training session. So we've been seeing Kate ask for Inka to go up on the fence. She has her pushing her hip up against the fence so that we can access her hip if we need to do different kind of injections like vaccines and stuff. So Kate actually has trained Inka to line up against the fence very perfectly, and now she's asking her to lay down on the ground. Now, bear with us because this is actually a fairly new setup. We don't always do these blood draw behaviors inside with this setup. So this is a little bit new for Inka, but she's very well behaved. So we're going to hopefully see how this goes and hope that it goes really well. So you can see Kate, after long times of training, has Inka very calm. Inka's focused only on Kate and the food she's receiving, while our keeper Shelby and Courtney over here, they're going to be grabbing Inka's tail through that chute because her tail is where the vein is that we want to get the blood from. We like the tail vein because it's furthest from her face, so it's the least dangerous for us. So we have 3 people to maintain safety in this situation. Kate to kind of keep Inka busy at her dangerous end, Courtney to be handling the tail and getting the blood, and Shelby to handle the door where the tail is, because that door is big enough for Inka to actually reach her arm through. So we have to be very, very, very careful, which is why we're taking all kinds of safety precautions today.
Good job.
So you can see Inka is doing an amazing, amazing job. She has not shown any interest in what is going on down by her tail with Shelby and Courtney, which is a big deal. That's super, super important. We don't want to put us into any kind of danger. Now, another thing that they've worked on with Inka is desensitizing her to that razor. So in order to get to the vein to draw blood, you actually have to shave the hair off of it, or else it's really, really hard to get to that vein. Now, that is a step in the training process to draw blood, because a weird sound like that buzzing from the razor or the weird feeling of the razor on her tail can actually startle the animals. So they had to work for some time to get Inka used to the sound of that razor and the feeling of that razor, and to allow them to actually shave her tail in the proper spot in order to get to the vein that we need to get to. So in this situation, they have to maintain a lot of communication with each other. Kate has to let the other 2 know that she is prepared, because this is the hardest part, where the needle goes into the tail. That's going to be the scariest part for the animal. Thankfully for Inka, she still is showing not too much issue there. She had a little bit of a go, but she's hopefully going to come right back to us, because she knows, hey, if I sit here, if I lay here, I'll get more rewards, and hopefully she'll let us get that blood from her tail, as she has in the past.
What do you think? Yeah, we're locking that up. You can't sit through that. What's it smell like?
So in our training sessions, it's really important for everybody to know that we do not ever force any of our animals to partake in their training sessions or to do the behaviors that we're hoping for them to do. That's really important, because they are never going to give as good of a behavior if they are forced to do something, and we do not want to put them in a negative situation. Our job here is to give them the best and most positive life that we can. So we don't want to create any kind of negative situation. Also, if you've ever tried to make a jaguar do anything, you'll realize it's impossible. You can't do that. You can't make them do anything that they don't want to do. So here you might see Inka might say, "Hey, I don't want to lay down. I don't want to do the blood draw today," and that's completely her choice in this situation. But we're hoping that maybe she will, and she'll continue to cooperate with us.
Maybe. We'll see. I know you know how to lay down on that side. What do you think? So, you ready? Yeah. No? Okay. You can try to sit down. It'll be a little awkward.
All right, so what Kate's going to do is she's going to ask for a few other behaviors from Inka to kind of get her to feel a little bit comfortable again, get back into the training mindset, and we'll see how she's feeling today.
Go ahead, go through. Try the hip again. What do you smell over there? Wow. Hip. Hip. Good.
So you saw
Tail.
Kate asked for hip. Inka pushed her hip up against the fence very vigorously. She knows if I push my hip here, I get food. She really likes that behavior. It's very easy for her. So she really likes just throwing her hip and her tail up against that fence.
Good.
So you'll see here she's doing a target behavior. Targeting is one of the basic behaviors that we will train with basically every one of our animals. It's asking the animal to touch, most often their snout, their nose, to the target stick, and they receive a reward. This allows us to do all kinds of things. There's a reason it's the base one. It's very easy for the animals to learn, but two, it's very helpful for us. It can allow us to kind of move the animals to different areas of the enclosure if we need to, or readjust their bodies in different areas if we need to be able to kind of see them at a certain angle, all kinds of different things. The target behavior does allow us to do a lot of really cool things.
What do you smell over there? Down. Oh, okay. Oh, you're being cute, you think, huh? I saw that rub. We're not falling for that. Oh, well, that's the wrong way. It's cute, though.
So oftentimes when we're training, we see our animals do things called fishing, where they offer other behaviors that they know in order to try and get the reward, even though they know that that's not what we're asking from them. They say, I would rather do this behavior right now in hopes of getting a reward. So that's what we call fishing. So right now, Inka is acting very cute, and she laid down on her opposite side, saying, I know you want me to lay down on this side, but I'm going to lay down on the other side here.
What do you think? You can be done if you want to be done, but I know you won't. I think she's also entering her heat cycle soon, in which I do not matter to her as much as seeing matters. Go for it. Okay. Hold. Good. Okay. Good. Okay. Down. Good. Down. Okay, fishing. I see you.
Yep, now she's fishing for an open mouth behavior. Inka's actually trained to open her mouth on cue.
Yeah, she might say no. That's okay.
So again, she could say she's done with training, and that's where we have to leave it today. And that is totally okay. We can always come back tomorrow or even next week and give it another shot. And as with people, animals have personalities, and they have days where they want to do things and days where they don't. And that's what we really have to learn and accept and work with our guys, is that we can't rush them, we can't be too hasty or push them to do things, or else it actually ends up being a worse time. So if we really pushed Inka to do something here, she wouldn't want to do it in the future, and that's not something we're really interested in. So we can be patient with this behavior, we can be patient with getting that blood from her, and we'll work on it maybe next week or even tomorrow, and hopefully she feels like, you know what, I'm really good with this today.
Too far? Too far. I'm going to try and scoot her up again. Okay. Scoot up. We're doing a little bit of baby here. Good job. She's sitting there. Let's see. You can do it. That's right. Yeah, sure.
with training, we learn to work with our animals' moods and behaviors. So today, Kate decided, you know what? We're going to let Inka sit rather than lay down. We're going to see how this goes, because it could just be a matter of, hey, I don't feel like laying down for this today. So, and that's, she has all kinds of different moods, and you never know what you're going to get any given day. But we have her tail back through the little slot there, and we're going to work on it, keep working on this, and see if we can get some blood from it this time. So oftentimes when we get closer to the scarier part, where the needle goes, Kate will give bigger rewards and a little bit more food to really reward Inka for her good work, for going through the harder part of the session.
Okay, that's okay. You can do that today.
All right, so Inka decided that today, this is not what she's interested in doing. Again, you know, this is a little bit of a different setup than what she's used to doing with her blood draws. We have drawn blood on her before, but this is a little bit of a different setup for her. So this is new, and you know, that's probably a really good start for her in a new situation, in a new area. So what Kate wants to do now is, because that last behavior didn't go as well as we'd hoped, we're hoping to get a couple more behaviors in so that Kate can end her training session with Inka at a good point, and Inka can feel proud of what she did, and they can end their day on a good note together. So you just saw there, Kate asked for an open mouth behavior. That's to allow us to assess the inside of the animal's mouths, look at their teeth, if they have any broken teeth or tongue issues. So there that is, the big open mouth there.
That's one. Okay. Good. Good job. Okay. I think we're going to save this for later. This little meatball later. So I've been working with Inka for about 6 years now, I think. She's very sassy, and she actually, it's hard to tell, but when she opens her mouth, she actually lost her upper right canine, and that's because she likes to play with toys really, really hard. So we think, we suspect that she may have damaged her tooth by throwing her favorite toy, which is a keg, around. And she just tends to be a little destructive, so we always have to keep an eye out for her. That white spot on her shoulder is actually a scar from another time where she probably got rough with something. And in her age now, whenever she scrapes herself pretty badly, sometimes that fur will actually grow back white. So she has another little one on her tail too. But yeah, so this is only the second time we've tried this trapdoor behavior. Typically what we'll do is on exhibit or in the day yard that we have behind the scenes here, we'll just ask for her tail and she'll push it up against the fence, and that's how we draw blood. But it's really difficult to do that way for our vet tech, who is then trying to maneuver a needle through fencing as well. So this trapdoor is going to be a lot better and more efficient for us once we can get her placement a little bit better, so we can have the tail in the right position. Of course, yesterday she did great, and she did okay today, but we would really like her rump to be essentially right here, so that base of the tail, the whole tail can come right out. And she was just figuring it out today. So we'll see. We'll get blood on her probably in the next week or so, just to get her annual blood work composition down and see what's going on as she continues to get things again. But she does like showing off for everybody.
All right, guys. So just quickly before we wrap up, would you guys each go through and maybe mention some of the other animals here at the zoo you train? And then we'll...
Sure, I'll go first. So I'm a little bit newer. I have a couple animals that I train here. Probably most notably, because people may have seen me doing it on exhibit, I train Penny, our alligator. I also do train one of our porcupines. His name is Sport. And then I also help out with training one of our giraffe. His name is Daruba.
Awesome.
Hi, so I'm Courtney, I'm the vet tech. So the only animal that I actually train would be Lexi. She is our non-stocky monkey. And then for all of the medical related behaviors, I do help all of the keepers with their animals when we're doing things like injections and blood draws. So I do help with everybody else. The only one that I train primarily would be Lexi.
quite a circus trying to train all of them at once. So we've kind of, between that and COVID, just laid back a little bit with their training. But some of them know behaviors such as crate training, and they'll actually go into a crate and shut themselves in. But right now we're focusing primarily on Inka because we'd like to get her blood in the next couple of weeks here.
Hi, I'm Shelby. I trained one of our giraffes, and then I also helped train our male jaguar, Zid, and our ocelot, Mateo.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys so much for joining in to Camp Keeper. Hope you guys really enjoyed your time here like we did, and hope you learned some really cool stuff today.